present. And you may notice first thing is that the home tab that I'm using is different than that regular home tab. I've actually set my landing page to be the desktop. So if you follow my mouse to the top row of tabs there, pardon it just for a second as I collapse that go-to training sidebar. If that sidebar is taking up the better part of your right-hand side of your screen, that red block with a white arrow will collapse it against the right-hand side, where it will remain until you click on that red block with the white arrow. And again, make sure it's the arrow, not the X. So if you click on the arrow, it will expand that go-to training sidebar. You can use the chat section to type questions as we go through this live demonstration. Otherwise, that red block, the white arrow, will both expand and collapse that go-to training sidebar. Desktop. This is the tab that we're looking at right now. We've just set this tab in my account as the landing page. So when I log in, I see this. I just feel like if you're moving forward to utilize transaction files to, manage the sale file online, web-based, this is a better view to log into. It shows you the transaction files you created, gives you immediate links to create new transaction files or directly access the files that you've created. So desktop view. As opposed to, let me click on home just so if you are still using the home. Again, it's just a tab, it's just a landing page that you can use to access. What we're going to focus on, the tab as I leapfrog over desktop, is the settings tab. This is where we can generate this content. This is where we can personalize our account to best suit our transaction management style and needs. So settings tab, clicking on settings. First thing to always talk about in settings tab, I'll let it wash over you for a second, is bottom left corner, you're going to see branding. Always want to put your photo or logo on your online accounts. Branding, bottom left corner, just going to click on continue. You can upload your personal photo. You can upload your company logo. The branding, the banner at the top, this banner style logo is 800 pixels wide by 150 pixels deep or tall, if you will, and it will brand outbound email messages. It is that header of the outbound email message. If you were to add DocBox, Document Manager, it would be the banner logo for fax cover sheets and storage opportunities. Other logos, your personal photo or image, stock photo will be branded to your outbound email messages. Anytime you deliver a form outbound or any invitation, branded with your personal photo. Bottom one there is the company logo. So if you do have that more, I think they're 160 by 160, something like that, logo, you can add that as well. This will brand participant websites. To change, just click on the change icon, banner, image, whatever that you have, and add that local document stored on your desktop, your computer, your laptop, your little thumb or USB drive, wherever you have that photo or logo saved, add it in. You can see the little sample size, little drop down, so you can see the pixel 125 by 800 for the banner, and I'm sure the other logos are in that range. Let's see, change image. 146 by 120. So add the branding to your account. Personalize it. Back to the settings tab. Upload those logos, photos, brand that outbound correspondence, those outbound touches, if you will. Pre-flight system check. Going up the left-hand column, pre-flight system check. You ran it one time when you logged into your account for the first time. You went for that pre-flight. You can rerun it at any time. So if you're setting up at a different computer, at least you kind of know what it's running. You can always run that pre-flight check to do the quick little determination of any new computer. Because remember, you can access your accounts from any internet-enabled device. So you can always run that pre-flight. Make sure you know what you're working with, whether you're in that hotel lobby or a computer or your iPad, your friend's iPad. You can rerun that pre-flight. Top left, preferences. This is where you can really personalize your account with how you want to display content, if you will. dashboard on the left-hand side, that column of green bullets there, we are in the general settings, top bullet point general. Here's where you can set that feature for login. When I log in, I want to, basic view is that home tab, navigational. Is that where you want to go? Choose that one. My desktop, which shows the transactions we created and more immediate access to those files. Desktop. If you're pushing forms, you can go right to the forms library view. The other one I think that might be is that last transaction. So the next time you log in, you come right back to the last transaction you were working on. So that might be a nice landing page. Again, this is so when you log in to your account, this is where you're going to go. In my case, the desktop view. Set yours to whichever you prefer. So that's general settings. Just below that, user information. We're not going to go through every one of these links, but just want to point out kind of the big ones, the big few. User information. Mostly you want to verify your email address, your phone numbers, websites if you have them, those fillable fields. Otherwise, this content is what we're receiving from Telluride. This is what they have on file for you, and they deliver us that content. As the Flex integrations come in line, and if you use the single sign-on through the Flex, as that comes online, they will pass information about you as well. So make sure your content that you have in your accounts is the one that you want to be using in your InstanetForms account as well. User information. Office is typically non-fillable. We're receiving that office information from the MLS and your association. So you don't have a chance to update that. If you ever change offices, it will be updated automatically when you log in using either means SSO from Flex or through that transaction desk link. Your account will be updated. Password management, you do have, as you may know, a unique password for your transaction desk for InstanetForms account. You can continue to use that password. If you don't know what it is yet, you can click here to receive it. You can get that password, but otherwise you can change it to whatever you would like it to be. If you know what it is already, you can change it. If you've never received it, then I don't know how you would have logged in, but you must have received it at least once. You can get it there sent to you again so that you can change it to whatever you'd like it to be. So all the other features there, transaction settings, is more visual. How do you want them filtered? How do you want to see them? Do you have specific statuses that you like to use? The default statuses are open, active, pending, closed. You can, if you have other milestones within the contract, other phases that you like to signify, you can certainly create those statuses. Contact types, property types, transaction types, content that you want to add to personalize your account for the transaction types that you most commonly work with, for the statuses that you most commonly use. Email signature, it's good. It's not great. You can't put in HTML-based tags or things like that, but can certainly add in all prevalent contact information. So at the bottom of every outbound email you send, within that feature, you're going to get your signature and content added to those outbound email messages. Form settings is probably a good one too. You can set the font, style, color, and size for your fillable fields and your forms and contracts. Try to say that 4 times fast. By default, Telluride has probably set it up Courier Bold, Black, and 9-point. You can change it to whatever you would like it to be. I actually like mine a little bit larger on the font size, so we'll go 11. Something to that effect. Default period, so that you can see the forms that you create for a specific set time. You can always see every form you've ever created, but you may want to reduce the visible ones to the most recent. Auto-saving feature, so that InstanetForms will auto-save every 5 minutes that you are in Forms edit mode, saving those settings. So forms, contact, same, account activity, notifications. You can set what type of notifications that you'd like to receive, system notifications about actions that you take or by other participants to your transaction files. So again, personalize your account with the content that you like to use. We're in the My Preferences section of the Settings tab. Going back to Settings, leaving the My Preferences, going back to Settings. So that's for filtering and views and those personal features. Quick Start Groups. Clicking on Quick Start Groups, way to now start generating content. The next three that we're going to look at, Quick Start Groups, templates, and clauses, adding content to your account for speed of creating files. Quick Start Groups, clicking on Continue. My use case for Quick Start Groups, personal preference, is groups of forms that I'll need in specific sales situations. Whether you want to make that sales situation the buyer packet for single-family residential or that listing packet for single-family seller. I like to use them for lead-based paint or mandatory homeowners. I'm going to set transaction templates for those files I'm most commonly associated with. I use Quick Start Groups to group together forms that I may need to attach to a particular client or property, something to that effect. So here's my example. I don't think it's a great example, but lead-based paint. When you have those sales situations, they don't happen all the time, but when they do, you need to add a specific set of forms and disclosures for that particular sales situation. That's where I see Quick Start Groups very handy to be able to add that specific set of forms. You see that you can also automatically attach them to transaction types as well. But just use case for me is that quick set. But let's create one so you can see what you can do. I would like to create a new Quick Start Group, but you can always access the ones that you have created, the ones you have set up, the ones that you are using. You can always revise and regroup. So this one, let's call this one, I'm going to call it mandatory HOA. Now, is there a description? You know, this is when the property is located in a mandatory homeowners association. Do I want to automatically attach this Quick Start group of forms to a particular transaction type? So just showing it, we change the name to whatever you'd like it to be. I mean, it's new buyer prospect. Do you want to attach that automatically to a transaction file? You certainly can take those steps. Automatically attach to a particular type, whether it's system value or your own personal content, transaction types. You can automatically associate groups of forms to those particular transaction types. Saving the Quick Start Group. Now that we've set how we want this to be added, because we're always going to have access to it, and we'll see that as we go through the demonstration. There's the phrase again, I would like to, always there. Add forms, clicking on the go arrow. Because we can always manually add the Quick Start Groups to files. The question is, do you want to automatically attach? So in the instances where I would have mandatory homeowners association, I'm going to look in the permissive optional forms, see if there's anything in here. Common interest, yes. Select. Anything else that would be required for this particular type? Maybe notice. We're just going to pick one as well. Press and hold the Control key to select the additional form. Look for one more. To press and hold the Control key to select the additional form. Add those three forms to create this Quick Start Group. Whatever the forms are. You decide on the group. Pull them together. Hunt and peck one time rather than each time you're in a file. You put them together. And that will save this Quick Start Group. Bottom right-hand corner, sometimes you have to scroll down. It's not always in the best location, but it's always in that bottom right-hand location. The saves, the continues, that's where you'll always find those action buttons, the bottom right-hand corners. So creating these Quick Start Groups to either automatically add forms or quickly add forms to transaction files. Quick Start Groups. So you can come back at any time, revise them, update them. When forms are updated at the state or association level, your Quick Start Groups will be revised with the new form versions as well. So it's really going in to take forms out, add new forms, things like that. The revised versions, the 2012 version of a particular form, will be automatically updated in your libraries, in your quick start groups, as we'll see here in a moment, back to the settings tab, in your transaction templates, wherever you have versions of that revised form, state, local level, they will be replaced automatically. Transaction templates, clicking on continue. And this is where I am a proponent of transaction templates. Quick start groups, a very easy way to get forms automatically associated with new files. I am more of a proponent of templating the entire file for not only the forms, but for form detail, for some contact placeholders, and really putting in place a template for this type of transaction. So let's just look at one. We've created two so far. Let's just look at one of them, clicking on the template name to take a look at this. So I can use this template each time I have a new single-family residential listing. I can use this template to quickly add the forms that I've associated to this transaction template, as well as the contact placeholder. Looks like I need to update that, but these are the features of the file, the elements of the file that I can template. Any of this information in our dashboard on the left-hand column, any of this content, I can add it here, will automatically pre-fill forms I start from the template. So I can really add as much content as I'm going to benefit from. In terms of the forms, the feature I like about the template, when I click on the form editor, you'll see that you can actually pre-fill in very customary fields within your forms. So creating form templates, not only the form, but also pre-filling it with very customary features of offers and agreements and so forth. So gives you that next level of pre-fill opportunity to get yourself started with some basic content that's typical for types of transactions of this type. Be able to select those check boxes and go through and add in customary features. So the benefit of the template is it takes it, ratchets it up. you can really very specific the content that you want added to your new files. So okay, so how do we set up the template? So that's what one looks like. That's what the template offers, all of that ability to generate this content up front. So settings tab, transaction templates. I would like to create the new one. Create new template, click on the go arrow. And if you've started a transaction file before, this is going to look very similar because it is. It's exactly the same steps. Not exactly, but very, very similar steps to starting a new file. But remember, this template will add all the content to our new files. So we want to keep it very within the core, your core features of your files. So let's do the townhouse. We've done single family, so let's do a townhouse, condo / townhouse listing. And would it be a particular type of transaction? That's a sale. So let's just add one. Add content. This is a nice place to add content. We saw in the My Preferences section where you can manage this content, but you can also quickly add it. So let's just do the condo TH listing file, something like that. Add the transaction type. So now it's added to my list. Every drop-down list where I have access to transaction types, I can choose that one. Not going to import MLS. Again, this is not property specific. This is transaction type specific. So we're going to skip that. Do we want to start it from a previous template? I won't do that to you because I'm sure you don't have any set up yet. But if you were going to set up multiple templates for a listing side, and all you're really doing is adding addendums or specifics like that, you can leverage content that you've already created. We will bounce through the wizard just to use it to add some content. And to my templates, I would encourage you to choose neither, not add yourself yet as a contact to this file. Don't add it to your template because then it will be added to every new file. And sometimes it will show that might not always be the case. So if you choose neither here, you identify yourself at the new file level. So neither. And add template. Steps are going to be remarkably similar. There's that pop-up. Hopefully most of you, I think I am going to not show that message again. I think I've shown it enough times. Clicking here on close to not see that, but think of this as building the core of that new transaction type. What would I want to add specifically to this? Any information in the property details? Again, there are no requirements. What would we benefit from? We're going to benefit mostly from MLS import into these fields, so I'm not sure that I would add any to my template. So I'm just going to click Next, blue Next button, top right corner, because I am a proponent of adding at least one contact type to my template. There's the phrase again. I would like to add new transaction contact and go. But Greg, you're saying that this should be very generic and not specific to a particular client, and it's not. But I would only be starting a new file if I have a prospect or a client in mind. Someone's called me, I've gotten a referral, paying off of some marketing. So I know that I have a new seller prospect, and I want to continue to add this contact type. So I'm going to put placeholder here, and whatever is going to just recognize in your mind that it's just a value holder, whether it's default seller or something to that. Save that contact information so that I can more quickly update that contact type when I'm working with my new file. Saving steps. The whole idea is to save yourself steps, save clicks, save time, energy, and effort. Add one. You're not going to start a new file unless you have a new seller, at least one seller. You may have more in your file. You can add those as required. Otherwise, next. Forms. I would like to add new forms. Click on the Go. This is the value, the beauty of just setting this up one time. Here are the quick start groups that we've added to this transaction account. So we can add these always to our files. But in this case, we'll pick a few, some disclosures, addenda to contracts. Let's see what we've got in here. Broker's duties, addendum, exclusive right. Let's grab that one. I'm sure there's going to be others. Residential addendum to contract to buy. Pressing and holding. I'm not trying to pick every one. I apologize. I don't know the forms library that well, but just picking a few that would probably be required. Core forms when I have a new seller. Lease, all types. I think that's to buy, excuse me. Exclusive right to sell. Pressing and holding is the control key. I'm a minimalist here. I'm typically only going to add the forms I know I'm going to need to the template. And I think I've added enough. Go through, use the control key, select multiple forms, add selected forms to your template. And again, I'm a minimalist. I always going to add what I know I'm going to need. Always be chances to come back in and add more forms at file specific, client specific, property specific stuff. But do what you like. You could add 15 forms to your template so you never have to go back into the library again. You just ignore or delete the ones you don't use. But anyway, that's it. We've added some content to our template, and we're going to save and exit. I'm in the bottom left-hand corner, saving and exiting from that wizard to set up the template. That's the first pass, right? Because you say, well, you said you could do all this other stuff, and we can. Now we want to click back on to the template name. Clicking back to the template to access this template and add any other content. Specifically, in my mind, content to the forms. So in this particular one, we'll just go to that exclusive right to sell. Clicking on the form name will open it in Forms Editor. Now you can pre-fill. Your listing agreements probably are pretty generic for the most part. At least 85% of it's going to be similar for every new listing client for that particular type of transaction. Single-family residential, other than the address and name and maybe a few property-specific things, it's routinely the same. That's what you want to try to identify, the routine try to take that and pre-populate your routine. Shrinking that column, your routine items, because routinely it's going to be seller agency or brokerage. I apologize, I should maybe know better, but I'm going to choose seller agency and a multiple person firm. And this content, again, I'm not trying to fill all of this stuff out. This stuff will also auto-populate from my transaction files when I get the brokerage in there, when I get listing cooperating agents and so forth, when I get property information. This templating, you just want to pick out the features that are routinely the same. You can negotiate a lease. Listing period, I don't know that. That will come my transaction file. Yes, shall be, of course. And one nice thing about creating the template is just because it's in the template, it is not locked into your file. So if it's different for a particular transaction, you can update it at the file level. Pardon my computer, as it does things I don't want it to. You can update it at the file level. So if this feature, if a feature of our template is wrong or different, we can change it to whatever is appropriate. So I think it's still about 5 or 6 on the sale commission. Go through, pick out, what do you think, 120? Get the idea that you can go through and set these customary features of your forms to build these templates out, not only in the transaction template, but build this form template within. All the features are the same of Forms Editor. When I go to leave that form to go to the next, I'll get the save prompt. Yes, I want to save it. Go through, type up that customary content within your forms. Go through each form, add whatever you're going to value you're going to benefit from. Type it in, generate those templates. All right, exiting from the form editor. Now you've pretty much done it. Now you've generated content. Now you have this template that you can use. So when you get that call, so now let's start our new file from our template. So a little recap. Going back to settings. We should do clauses first. Apologies. Get a little ahead of myself. That was templates. Come back at any time. Re-access them. Revise them. Rework them. Make them work for you. Clauses. Quickly add a clause. Continue. Top right corner clause. For those specific sales situations, I would like to phrase. Add new clause. Go. Content of my clause. Because I'm the most non-creative person. It's always the same. Final walkthrough. Language used when requesting permission for final walk through prior to closing and funding. Whatever the language is, you know the language that you like to use in your specific sales situations. Give it a title. Give it some contents. Save the clause. That's all you have to do. Now you have access to that clause through your Forms Editor. When you're in Forms Edit mode and you're completing the form and it has call for that clause, we can paste it in. We'll see that as long as I keep moving forward. Clicking on settings. Last settings is the sharing. If you want to create a share group with a business partner or team member, lower right hand corner, clicking on sharing, you can share your transaction files when you want to with the people you want in your real estate office. I would like to create the group. Could be an individual, could be a group of people, doesn't matter. I've already exhausted my business partner. Maybe we'll just call this office. Share. Name it, whatever is going to help you recognize it. Create the new share. 2 people have logged into my office who are also licensed users of Transaction Desk. Select, press and hold the control key to select multiple users. So it could be multiples, it could be one or the other. You decide who you want to share with and how much you want to share. Read, just read access. They can see the contents of your file. Write, they can see and add content. Full, they can see, add, remove, full carte blanche access to your transaction file. I like them, and I don't like them that much. And then we're going to add them in. Add. So first access, then add. Adds them to the members of this share group. Now I can decide when and which files and what content I want to share with those folks in my share groups. Saving the share, back to the Settings tab. That was the final one. That was sharing. So if you're in those situations where you work in a team, set up your team environment with sharing. Now we're ready to start a file. We're ready to see all this content come together. I'm going to go back to the desktop view, leaving that home tab behind because I can either access an existing file or middle right-hand side. I know it's a little bit smaller, but once you see it once, I think it pops out at you in that yellow font to create new transaction. By clicking there, it's going to take me directly to that start page. Now, this is probably the one step that people miss to start from the template. The blue circle's up here, top left-hand corner of the screen. Blue circle says New Transaction. When we want to change this view, we want to switch it to Populate from a Template view. And I'm going to click in that circle, and it just collapses the page a little bit so that I can see and work with this template. And I'm going to give that transaction a name. And who is this? Condo listing. And it's going to be my buddy Salar, Sam, and maybe the address if I know what it is. I'm not sure. Something to that effect. Using a template. Do I want to use the wizard? Hopefully you get the idea of the wizard. I can opt out. I'm just going to opt out of the wizard. But here's where I want to identify myself. Am I the selling agent? Am I the listing agent? Probably. Am I neither side? Am I both sides? So this is where you want to identify yourself. Add yourself to the transaction contact. Start the transaction. So we're giving it a name. We're choosing our template. If I skipped over that, but there's the templates we've generated. Selecting the one I want to use. Establishing myself as a contact to the file. My broker. Starting the file. Opting out of the wizard, going right to the transaction overview screen. This because we added content already to get started. If you like the wizard, you can certainly use it from the start page, or you can launch from here at any time. In the top right-hand side of the screen, you can relaunch the wizard at any time. But otherwise, now here's the value, I think. Placeholder, right? You're calling me crazy. Go on, you can say it. Placeholder, clicking there. Not placeholder anymore. It's Sam. It's Sam Salar. Do I know his address? What was it? 456 Pine Street. Or maybe he was already in there. Maybe I could insert him in from my contacts. Maybe I can add him to my contact database now. Save him to my transaction file. I skipped 3 clicks. Clicks equals time. And if you believe the adage that time equals money, then you're saving time, saving energy, saving effort. Back to the overview. Maybe now you want to import data into your file. Maybe there's an old MLS. It could be sold or expired, withdrawn. All these different status types are available to import in. Maybe you can copy in some tax ID or something from public record. But you've started your new file. You've got that file going. Let's go to the forms. InstanetForms to see what we've done. What have we done? Auto-populate our forms with our transaction file. Details. Maybe we could add some dates if we knew a listing date or an expiration date or something to that effect. But we could add more forms to our file. These were just the 3 we knew we would need. Now we can go in and get the ones we'll need additionally. Clicking on exclusive right. I put some, yeah, we'll skip it. But if I added property information, if I got that content in, it will be auto-populating from my transaction file. It will be auto-filling, pre-filling from my template. And that's really what I just wanted to point out. The content that you've added to your account within these templates. Now, pre-filled. But again, if it's different for this file, you can change it. It's not locked in. It just gave us some content. Here we are now. Here's our sellers, our potential clients, and ourselves. Now we're in. When we get that address information and tax ID, and legal description, that'll go in. When we add the dates to our transaction file, the listing and expiration, that will go in. So when we continue to add content to our file, it's going to fill these fields. But those fields that I kind of knew, they're done too. Save time, energy, and effort, increase consistency, increase efficiency. See if I can find that insert so I can show you the clause. We need a little bit bigger of a field, I think. But here's all of our features. Have all been pre-filled in there. Whatever content that we added. This should be good enough. 188. Select the field. Insert. Clauses. Clauses that we have available. Final walkthrough. See the content. Add it in. Clicking on Add button. The center column Add. See it there in the Selected. Now we're going to copy to form. Same center column. We'll now copy it to the form. Top of the input area, that's the top left-hand indent. That sounds good. And it's been pasted in. It's had a couple spaces in there, it looked like, but pasted in, auto carriage return into those form fields. There are no restrictions from copying and pasting. Add your special provisions, your clauses, paste them into your files. Save your changes. Exit from Form Editor. Adding content to your InstanetForms account, opportunities there to move forward. Sharing, we created a share group. Go down to sharing. Bottom of the dashboard, bottom left-hand bullet, bottom left corner, sharing. Do we want to share? It's not automatically shared in, but here's now. Who do I want to share it with? My business partner? I want to share this transaction. Add them in. Notify them. This share will see this new file in their transaction desk or InstanetForms account. When they log into their account, they will see this transaction file. That's how it shows up. By selecting the checkbox, they'll also receive an email notification. Add new share. I can remove the share at any time too. Maybe I'm just going out of town, or maybe I just need them to follow up on anything while I'm at an appointment, whatever's appropriate. You can set, add, or remove the shares from your transaction at any time. Back to overview. We do have just another minute or two. I would like to show one more feature. Contacts and participants. Building better files, I think, means offering your file to more people, sharing with other realtors in your office. Contacts and participants, selecting that red bullet point, because we added Sam as a contact to our transaction file. Now I want to speak to quickly here, clicking on Sam, accessing his contact information to grant Sam access as a transaction participant. Here's where you can open your file to your contacts. You can give them a login name and password. I just am a fan of the Sam. Just use the tab key to move from one field to the next. Login name and password. InstanetForms will auto-generate it for you if you want it to. It's just a very strong sequence of alphanumeric characters. Notifications. You can be notified when they log into this participant website. Or for all of their actions, I'd caution you to just, when they log in, could very quickly become email notification overload. You can expire their access to this participant website at any time. With InstanetForms only, you can give your participants access to property information, to dates, to forms, contact information, give them fillable access to update property information or transaction dates, access to online forms, fillable access to online forms. You decide what's appropriate access for this participant for the appropriate amount of time for them to have access to it. You can actually give them online fillable access to your forms and contracts. If that's a value, set it up. Give them always access to our contact information. Save the contact. Immediately what happens, I need to add their email address, because I was going to say immediately what happens is InstanetForms is going to send an email message to this participant, an invitation to participate. It's going to include the login name, the password, and the link to the website. If you want more security, add in a PIN number. You need to deliver the PIN number and a follow-up correspondence. It is not going to be automatically delivered. The PIN number is extra security. Save that contact. Here's where it's going to ask me if I want to continue without a PIN. I think it's pretty safe. Clicking on OK. Participant access to your online transaction files. As much or as little, or if you have no value, never again. But with that said, I'm going to leave the transaction. Let's go back to the overview page. Top left-hand red bullet points. Final view of our transaction file. We created it from a transaction template. Automatically added content to our new file. Forms pre-filled with that form template information. But again, from here forward, once you start it from the template's done. This is now your new file. All the content, all the changes is file specific. You're not changing any of your template content. This is now file specific for this client, for this property, for this sale process. Everything we do from here forward is for Sam Solar at 456 Pine Street. Go back to the Settings tab, just because where we spent the primary amount of our day here. Content here. If I want to update any of it, I come here to the Settings tab. I go through and re-access and change, revise, update that content. Settings tab. Otherwise, I'm going to finish off at the desktop. I'm going to re-raise this audio message. I'm going to be very mindful of everybody's time, appreciative of the opportunity to present a couple websites. First, our calendar for scheduling office or team or business partner related webinars. They are free, they're interactive, where we can discuss implementation strategies and tailor the content specifically to the time that you have available for the content that you would like to cover. Toggle.me/webinar Greg is our calendar of availability for those types of webinar sessions. Twitter.com webinar Greg. If you're interested in Twitter, join the conversation. Always some lively stuff going on there. Toll-free support. It's always a good one to get to. Toll-free, 800-668-8768 for both sales and support. If you'd like to add additional features to your account, certainly sales. If you have issues or errors with your account, support, both through the same number, just different option when you get there. But toll-free, 800-668-8768. YouTube.com/InstanetWebinars is where we post all of our recorded content. So do check there periodically for updates to either 1 to 5 minute overview tutorials or anywhere to a 60-minute full overview session. So youtube.com/InstanetWebinars for that. If you have questions, comments, general observations going forward, webinars@InstanetSolutions.com, always available for questions, content, or general observations. Just let us know how we can best assist you with your training needs going forward. And until we webinar again, I hope that you have a tremendous, tremendous day.